dead didn't train no fool. And so for that reason, we're in the right place at the right time. We are in a mad dash for the finish line, by the way. I can't stress that enough. Now, we don't have to be 100 yards ahead. We only have to be 3 paces ahead of everything that they do. Now, one way or another, you win. And in this case, we've already had a head start. As you all know, with a lot of the work that we did, its mission was to get out to as many people as possible with no communications mechanism. You'll notice we didn't use the media. I wasn't worried about the media. We know, fact of the matter, word of mouth is the best communications mechanism amongst the patriots. And the tapes you've seen have been all over not only the United States, but they've been all over the world. We know for a fact that a doctor up in Canada did 30,000 copies of American Peril himself. Had them commercially made, sent them to New Zealand, Australia, Asia, Europe, parts of Canada, and even some parts of the United States. He did it all himself, paid for it with his own money. What do you think that did to the system? And I know, I don't have to hear it, I know everybody made copies of something, didn't they? Oh yes, you'd better have done that, or I'll come over with a stick and beat you. Because that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see that happen. Because by doing that, we put a question mark in people's minds. You didn't have to believe everything at that time, but all of you who've seen American Peril understand that it's now almost really a history book. It's not a, gee, they're going to do it. American Peril is already a year plus old, and it actually is in motion now. You're seeing it. So with that in mind, then you have to ask yourself, where do they go next? Well, we all know where it goes next. It's just a matter of whether or not they panic at a particular time and how they spring. And they are panicking. They're playing as many cards to create confusion as they possibly can. Somalia, Yugoslavia, Korea, White Watergate, yeah. Take your pick with all of this stuff. It's a jumble. That's right, Kerrigan. That really was. You know what? If you remember what I said, it's a coordinated effort, just like when they went into Kuwait, when Iraq invaded Kuwait for 3 days in the national news in headlines this tall, Zsa Zsa Gabor slaps a cop. That is not national news, but that is a way to keep you busy watching this while they go for the short hair.
Right.
That's exactly what they did. And now again we see it with, after all, you all know the most important piece of news in the country is some man getting his private parts cut off, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay? 3 solid weeks of that. When that was done, 3 solid plus weeks of the Kerrigan situation. And we're from Detroit, so we had it right in our face. Trust us. The first question you just had to ask was, what will this do to the world of figure skating? You're in the middle of a summer environment here. Anybody here go figure skating today? You're down in Florida.
Can I ask you something, please, Mark?
Yes.
In the United States, right? How many think we have organized members in the militia in the United States between different states?
Between all the different groups?
Yes, sir.
I would guesstimate a minimum, an absolute minimum of probably 3 million to maybe 4.
4 million?
Yes, that's effective. You've got to remember a few things that are in place. The different elements that are still around from the older days that actually they passed on the flag. The Minutemen are still alive. They're still around.
I used to belong to Minutemen back in the 60s.
Okay, the Minutemen are still there, and a lot of their children have passed on, are now of age. You're seeing Sons of Liberty. You're seeing a series of other traditional militia formations, including Home Guards, which are in 17 states of the Union, that are in place still. In fact, ours, we were trying to find out for the last 2 or 3 years who was in charge of Michigan's Home Guard. In the last month, one of their officers came to one of our people and related a story. The Home Guard consists of 10,000 people who are not regular Army. It's all volunteer, and they are equipped from hand-me-down equipment that came from the PDOs, property disposition offices, or they come from existing supplies. Well, about a month ago, the state had the Fed commanded to take everything that the state militia had and ship it to Indianapolis. Now, wait a minute. Why would they do that? Because it was a Home Guard unit. It's not a combat unit. Its mission is to stay inside Michigan. Well, this isn't just happening in one part of the country. They're trying to do this all over the United States because they perceive the American people to be the threat to the New World Order. Not a foreign power, not foreign nationals, not some invader. The American people are perceived to be the greatest threat to what they are going to do to this country. And so that's how they've targeted us. And many good officers, by the way, and this is the other thing I'll point out. The minimal is because I do believe that overall, between the unorganized and organized general militia, that we probably have a total of maybe 8 million.
8 million?
It could be that high, and that we have to allow for the fact that you are only one of many nets, and I don't even want to know where they all are. But I'll say this, I've had many good men come up to me, and we've had one point of contact in the last year. All they said is, we will know when the time comes. Thank you for being there. I don't want to know who they are. But I know some have offered regiments, some have offered battalions, some have brigades. We know that some of the formations, beyond a shadow of doubt, are in excess of 5,000 men per unit. We have our own artillery, we have armor, we have aircraft. So we are not, without resources. How they're used is important, and they have to be used preciously and carefully. We can't sacrifice them. That's very important. Yes?
On the same line of thought as our military and our police, they are not our enemies. Can you give a guesstimate of what percent you think will turn the gun on the enemy?
Well, of all of the guardsmen that we've had that have either sat in my home or been to meetings or that have also met in the field, most have said, although there's a few that are still in a quandary, some of them walked away in brain fart, because when they realized that all you were out there, they realized it's not going to be a cakewalk. But of them, 99% have said this: whoever it is that gives them the order to shoot American people, they shall turn and kill them first. The reason is this, though, and that's why that's why I'll stress this again tonight. The people we're talking about live amongst you. The way I point it to them is this: you willing to shoot mom and dad? You want to go down and shoot your uncle or your cousin? Are you willing to do that? Are you that much of a traitor to this nation that you are going to do that? That's what the UN is for. But you see, they still need more bulking cannon fodder, and they need scouts, and they need quislings. Remember that term?
Yeah.
They need quislings because they must have the facade of legality. And that facade will be brushed away soon enough, by the way, because they'll realize. That's why I say there are two stages also to this war. In the first stage, it will make it appear to be an internal conflict. As more of the American people realize and perceive the threat, a lot of the Sunshine Patriots will come along for the ride after you've done a lot of the work. But when that happens, the New World Order will realize that if it does not go full tilt,
I cry for my country, for the pain that it's been through. She's been made to suffer for the profit of a few. Storm clouds are forming, winds of change now touch our shores. Our hear forefathers are crying as the dream's been cruised. America!